Hey everyone, I am back today with a non-spoiler series review of the Fallen Kingdom series by Morgan Rhodes. I don't have these series with me. I do own all of the books. I don't have them with me. They're kind of spread out all over the place. Pictures will have to do. But I'm sure most of you have heard of this series. I've been reading it for years. It has taken me a long time to finish it, but I finally finished reading the last book this morning. So I thought I would do just a little non-spoiler review of the whole series and my final thoughts on it as I've read it throughout the years and if my thoughts have changed and all of that. So if you haven't read the series, you can totally watch this video. I will not spoil anything. I'm just gonna give my quick thoughts on the series as a whole. So when I first read Fallen Kingdoms a few years ago, I loved it. I thought it was great. It's been called like the YA version of Game of Thrones, and I would kind of agree with that. I feel like it has the same vibe going on. It's fantasy, there's fighting kingdoms, there's magic, there's a lot of relationship drama going on, so I can see how that comparison makes sense. But I loved Fallen Kingdoms just because I feel like it's a really classic fantasy series, but it reads very quickly and it just doesn't get bogged down in details or anything like that. The plot moves along super fast. I think maybe that's what sets it apart a little bit from other fantasy series. As a whole, I think the series is a really fun time. You have a few main characters where you read from their perspective. You have Cleo, Magnus, Jonas, and Lucia. Those are the most prominent characters of the first book, and you get to see from their perspective a few different times throughout the stories, and it is changing POVs, so if you aren't a fan of that, then maybe this isn't the series for you. But I think it helped to move the story along and definitely provided for some interesting plot points. In this world, you have the land of Mythica, which is separated into 3 different lands within it called Lomeros, Pelagia, and Aranos. And those 3 lands are ruled by different families. So Lomeros is in the north, and that is where Magnus lives. He's the prince of Lomeros. You have Pelagia, which is kind of like the middle ground, and that's where Jonas is from, and Jonas is a rebel, and he is all about fighting the system and bringing down the royalty. And you have Aranos in the south, which is where Cleo is from, and she is the princess of Aranos. And then Lucia is the sister of Magnus. She is a princess in Lomeros in the north, but she has magical powers. So it's the story of a prince and princess and rebel and witch, and how all of their storylines intertwine together and change, and they go on different journeys, and you never really know who's a hero, who's a villain. They all kind of change places throughout the story. You get some new characters from different lands. A lot goes down in this series. There's a lot of romance. There's a lot of changing romances and love triangles and stuff at times. If you're not a fan of kind of tumultuous romance stories, then it may not be the series for you, but if you're down for a really exciting and good time, I think this is a great series. Overall, I'd probably give it like 3.75, 4 out of 5 stars, but like I said, I've read it over a few years. It has a special place in my heart, and I really enjoyed it throughout those years. As I've matured and read other books throughout the years, I realize it's not the best series out there. It's not the best fantasy by any means. I feel like the world building isn't super strong. Like I said, it's really fast paced, so it doesn't spend a lot of time world building or building the magic. I would say it's a little bit surface level when it comes to the fantasy aspect. However, in turn for that, you get a roller coaster of a ride, and the books read very quickly. So it's a toss-up. It depends what you like in your fantasy stories. If maybe you're new to the fantasy genre, this could be a great one to start out with. Or if you feel like you would like Game of Thrones, but you're kind of intimidated by it, then maybe start out with this one. So it's not the most well-developed series, I will admit, but it's a great time and very enjoyable. So obviously it's up to you and what you're looking for in a series. Overall, I loved it. It has a special place in my heart. I am down to read anything else that Morgan Rhodes writes, and I want to read this spin-off series. I have not read it, but the first book is the Book of Spirits and Thieves, I believe. So I have not read that series yet, so I'm interested in reading it. The only regret I have is that I wasn't able to read them back to back, and I think that would be really cool if you're into marathoning series. I think this could be a good one to read back to back just because they are so fast, and you'd be able to keep up with everything that's going on and remember everything from the previous books, because I feel like maybe I missed out on some of that by waiting so long between books. I also listened to a lot of the last 3 books on audiobook, and I will say I really enjoyed them. If you're an audiobook fan, maybe maybe try that out. I did not listen to the first few on audiobook, so I don't know how those are, but I enjoyed the narrator that was for the last few books. So maybe give that a try if you're interested. So I think that's really all I have to say about it. If you have read the full series and you're interested in hearing my spoiler thoughts, I did just finish Immortal Reign, so I'm about to film my little spoiler talk on, I guess, the series as a whole, but mostly Immortal Reign. So hop on over to that video if you've read it and you want to know what I thought and you want to talk about it. Let's do it there. I hope you enjoyed this little review. I just want to give you a general feel for the series and if you might be interested in it. If you have any questions about it or you want to know anything more specific, you can let me know in the comments, or if you read it, let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all soon. Bye.